Καλησπέρα και καλώς ήρθατε σε άλλη μια λέξη εκφραστικής ανάγνωσης εν μέσω κορονοϊού 2020. Σήμερα η κουβέντα σε κάποια φάση το μεσημέρι πήγε στην Julie d'Aubigny, η οποία ήταν μια απίστευτη προσωπικότητα των τελών του 17ου αρχών του 18ου αιώνα. Αξίζει να αναζητήσετε έστω για κάποια ελάχιστα στοιχεία για τα κατορθώματά της. Και από την Julie, η Mademoiselle de Maupin ή Λ.Ε.Α, όπως ήταν γνωστή στην Γαλλία, έφτασα στον Théophile Gautier, ο οποίος 100 και κάτι χρόνια μετά το θάνατό της γράφει ακριβώς ένα μυθιστόρημα με τον τίτλο Mademoiselle de Maupin. Εμπνέεται από την ζωή της Julie, δεν γράφει βιογραφία. Αυτό που φαίνεται να τον τραβάει περισσότερο είναι το στοιχείο του τραβεστή που χαρακτήριζε την ζωή της Julie, η οποία συχνά ντυνότανε ως άντρας, συμμετείχε σε ξιφομαχίες και γενικά έκανε πράγματα τα οποία ήταν αντίθετα από τις έτσι αναμενόμενες νόρμες της εποχής για μια γυναίκα της υψηλής τάξης. Αυτό είναι κυρίως το στοιχείο που κρατάει ο Γκοτιέ στο μυθιστόρημά του, που φυσικά μετατρέπεται σε μια ουσιαστικά κωμωδία, comedy of errors, τα κλασικά, τις κλασικές μεταμφιέσεις γυναικών σε άντρες και ούτω καθεξής, και με τις αντίστοιχες παρεξηγήσεις στα ερωτικά παιχνίδια που κυριαρχούν στο μυθιστόρημα αυτό. Θέλω εδώ να σημειώσω ότι, και σε αυτό δεν είμαι απόλυτα σίγουρη, αλλά έχω την αίσθηση ότι στην Ελλάδα ακόμα μπερδεύουμε λίγο τον όρο τραβεστή με τρανσεξουάλ, το οποίο δεν είναι σωστό, γιατί τραβεστή ουσιαστικά σημαίνει αυτός ο οποίος ντύνεται και συμπεριφέρεται αντίθετα με το φύλο του, το που σημαίνει ότι αυτό ισχύει τόσο για μια γυναίκα η οποία ντύνεται και συμπεριφέρεται ως άντρας χωρίς να έχει κάνει αλλαγή φύλου με εγχείρηση, όσο και για ένας άντρας ο οποίος ντύνεται σαν γυναίκα και συμπεριφέρεται σαν γυναίκα πάλι χωρίς να έχει κάνει αλλαγή φύλου. Δεν σημαίνει ότι ένας τραβεστή νιώθει απαραίτητα ότι είναι γεννημένος σε λάθος φύλο και πρέπει να κάνει εγχείρηση αλλαγής φύλου. Δηλαδή δεν είναι απαραίτητα ένας τραβεστή και τρανσεξουάλ. Οπότε νομίζω ότι αυτό έχει σημασία να το έχουμε υπόψη μας, τουλάχιστον στην ελληνική γλώσσα. Εάν κάνω λάθος σε αυτή μου την ανάλυση, συγγνώμη, αλλά ελπίζω ελπίζω το σχολείο μου αυτό να φέρει λίγο έστω μία έτσι, άλλη αντιμετώπιση των δύο αυτών λέξεων και καταστάσεων. Τα γαλλικά μου δεν είναι καλά, μπορεί η προφορά μου να είναι εξαιρετική, αλλά δεν φτάνει για να διαβάσω ολόκληρο κείμενο στα γαλλικά, οπότε θα με συγχωρέσετε όλοι οι γαλλόφιλοι εκεί έξω. Θα το διαβάσω σε αγγλική μετάφραση. Είναι το 8ο κεφάλαιο. No, my dear Silvio, I have not forgotten you. I am not one of those who go through life without a backward glance. My past follows me and encroaches upon my present and almost upon my future. Your friendship is one of the sunlit spots that stand out most clearly on the blue horizon of my later years. Often, from the peak on which I stand, I turn to gaze upon it with a feeling of ineffable melancholy. Oh, what lovely weather it was! How angelically pure we were! Our feet hardly touched the ground, we had wings on our shoulders, as it were, our desires carried us away, and the fair halo of youth around our foreheads trembled in the breeze of spring. Do you remember the little island covered with poplars at the spot where the river forms a little arm? To reach it we had to cross a long, very narrow plank that bent in the middle with a strange sensation. An excellent bridge for goats, and little used, in fact, except by them. It was a delightful spot. Short, thick grass, where the forget-me-not opened its pretty little blue twinkling eye, a path as yellow as nankeen that served as a belt for the green robe of the islet and encircled its waist, the constantly moving shadow of aspens and poplars, were not the least charms of that paradise. There were great pieces of linen that the women stretched out to whiten in the dew. One would have said they were square patches of snow. And the little dark, sunburned girl whose great wild eyes sparkled so brightly under her long locks, and who ran after the goats, threatening them with her osier switch when they were on the point of walking on the linen she was watching. Do you remember her? And the sulphur-coloured butterflies with their irregular, hesitating flight, and the kingfisher we tried so many times to catch, that had its nest in a clump of alders, and the banks sloping to the river, with the steps roughly hewn in the rock, with their posts and stakes all green at the bottom, and almost always closed by a hedge of plants and branches. How smooth and clear the water was, how the golden gravel glistened at the bottom, and how pleasant it was to sit on the bank and dabble our toes in the stream. The water-lily, with its golden flowers unfolding gracefully, seemed like green hairs floating on the gleaming back of some nymph in the bath. The sky gazed at its reflection in that mirror with azure smiles and transparent rifts of pearl grey of most bewitching beauty, and at every hour in the day there were turquoise blues, golden yellows, fleecy whites, and flickering shades in inexhaustible variety. How I loved those flocks of ducks with the emerald necks that sailed incessantly from bank to bank and caused an occasional wrinkle on that glassy surface. And how well adapted we were to be the figures in that landscape, how attached we became to those sweet, restful scenes, and how easily we harmonized ourselves with them. Springtime without, youth within, the sun on the turf, a smile on the lips, snow-white blossoms on all the bushes, fair illusions blooming in our minds, a modest flush upon our cheeks and on the eglantine, poetry singing in our hearts, invisible birds humming among the trees, bright light, cooing doves, perfumes, 1,000 confused murmurs, the beating of the heart, the water stirring a pebble, a wisp of grass or a thought springing up, a drop of water rolling down the side of a flower, a tear flowing from beneath an eyelid, a sigh of love, the rustling of a leaf. What evenings we have passed there, walking slowly, so near the edge that we often had one foot in the water and the other on land. Alas, that lasted a very short time, in my case at least. For you, while acquiring the knowledge of a man, were able to retain the innocence of a child. The seed of corruption that was within me developed very rapidly, and the gangrene pitilessly devoured all that was pure and saint-like about me. The only good that remained was my friendship for you. I am accustomed to conceal nothing from you, neither acts nor thoughts. I have laid bare before you the most secret fibres of my heart. However strange, absurd, eccentric the movements of my mind, I must needs describe them to you. But, in truth, my sensations for some time past have been so strange that I hardly dare confess them to myself. I told you at some time that I was afraid that by dint of seeking the beautiful and straining every nerve to attain it, I should fall into the impossible or the horrible. I have almost reached that point. When, then, shall I get clear of all these currents that cross and recross one another and drag me to the right and left? When will the deck of my vessel cease to tremble under my feet and to be swept by the waves of every storm? Where shall I find a haven in which I can cast anchor, and an immovable rock out of reach of the waves, whereon I can dry myself and wring the spray from my hair? You know how ardently I have sought physical beauty, what importance I attach to physical form, and what affection I have conceived for the visible world. It must be because I am too corrupt and too blasé to believe in moral beauty, and to pursue it with any constancy. I have completely lost the power to distinguish between good and evil, and, by force of depravity, I have almost reverted to the ignorance of the savage and the child. In fact, nothing seems praiseworthy or blameworthy to me, and the most extraordinary actions surprise me but little. My conscience is a deaf mute. Adultery seems to me the most innocent thing in the world. I find it quite natural that a girl should prostitute her person. It seems to me that I would betray my friends without the slightest remorse, and I should not have the slightest scruple in kicking over a precipice people who annoyed me, if I were walking on the brink with them. I could witness the most atrocious scenes with indifference, and there is something that is not unpleasant to me in the sufferings and woes of humanity. I have the same sensation of acrimonious, bitter joy when some great disaster falls on the world that one feels when one takes revenge for an old insult. O world, what hast thou done to me that I should hate thee so? Who has so filled me with gall against thee? What did I expect from thee, that I should bear thee such rancour for having deceived me? What high hope didst thou disappoint? What eaglet's wings didst thou clip? What doors shouldst thou have opened that have remained closed, and which of us two has failed the other? Nothing touches me, nothing moves me. I no longer feel, when I hear the story of a heroic action, the sublime shudder that used to run over me from head to foot. Indeed, it all seems to me a little foolish. No accent is deep enough to tighten the relaxed fibres of my heart and make them vibrate. I look upon the tears of my fellow mortals with the same eye that I look upon the rain, unless they are of a particularly beautiful water, and the light is reflected prettily in them, and they are flowing down a lovely cheek. Dumb animals are almost the only creatures for which I have a slight remnant of compassion. I would allow a peasant or a servant to be soundly whipped, but I could not stand by and see the same treatment inflicted on a horse or dog in my presence. And yet I am not evil-minded. I have never injured anybody on earth, and I probably never shall. But that is due rather to my nonchalance and my sovereign contempt for all those people whom I do not like, which does not permit me to interest myself even to the extent of injuring them. I abhor the whole world in bulk, and there are only one or two in the whole lot whom I deem worthy to be hated especially. To hate a person is to be as much disturbed about him as if you loved him. It is to set him apart, to distinguish him from the common herd. It is to be in a state of violent excitement because of him. It is to think of him by day and dream of him by night. It is to bite at your pillow and gnash your teeth as you think that he exists. What more do you do for anyone you love? Would you take the same amount of trouble to please a mistress that you take to ruin an enemy? I doubt it. In order to hate one person intensely, one must be in love with some other person. Every great hatred serves as a counterpoise to a great love. And whom could I hate, when I love nobody? My hatred is, like my love, a confused general sentiment that seeks to apply itself to some object and cannot. I have within me a treasure of hatred and love which I don't know what to do with, and which weighs horribly upon me. If I can find no place to bestow one or the other, or both of them, I shall burst and break apart, like a bag filled too full of money, which rips at the seams and spills its contents. Oh, if I could detest someone, if one of the stupid men with whom I live would insult me in such a way as to make my old viper's blood boil in my frozen veins, and force me out of this dull drowsiness in which I am stagnating. If thou, old witch with a palsied head, wouldst bite me in the cheek with thy rat's teeth and infect me with thy venom and thy madness. If someone's death could be my life, if the last heartbeat of an enemy writhing under my foot could send a delicious thrill through my hair, and the odour of his blood smell sweeter to my thirsty nostrils than the aroma of flowers, oh, how gladly would I renounce love, and how happy I would deem myself. Deadly embraces, tiger bites, the hug of a boa constrictor, an elephant's foot placed upon a breast that is crushed and flattened beneath it, the poisoned tail of the scorpion, the milky juice of the euphorbia, the curved kriss of the Javanese, blades that gleam at night and extinguish their gleam in blood. I call upon you now. It is you who shall replace me for the leafless roses, the moist kisses, and the warm embrace of love. I love nothing, as I have said, but alas, I am afraid of loving something. It would be 100,000 times better to hate than to have such a love. I have found the type of beauty that I have so long dreamed of. I have found the body of my phantom. I have seen it. It has spoken to me. I have touched its hand. It exists. It is not a chimera. I knew that I could not be mistaken and that my presentiments never lied. Yes, Silvio, I am living beside the dream of my life. My chamber is here. Its chamber is there. I can see from here the curtain trembling at its window and the light of its lamp. Its shadow has just passed across the curtain. In an hour we shall sup together. Those lovely Turkish eyelashes, that clear, profound gaze, that warm hue of pale amber, that long, glossy black hair, that nose of proud and delicate shape, those joints and extremities, supple and slender after the manner of Parmigiani, the graceful curves and the pure oval contour that give such an air of aristocratic refinement to a face, all that I longed for and would have been overjoyed to find distributed among 5 or 6 persons, I have found united in a single person. The thing that I adore most fervently among all earthly things is a lovely hand. If you could see the hand of my dream, such perfection, such dazzling whiteness, such soft skin, such penetrating moisture, the ends of the fingers so admirably tapered, the half-moon of the nails so clearly marked, such polish and such brilliant colour, you would say they were the inner petals of a rose. Anne of Austria's hands, so vaunted and famous, were no more than the hands of a turkey-keeper or scullery-maid compared with these. And then what grace, what art in the slightest movements of the hand! How gracefully the little finger bends and stays a little apart from its tall brothers! The thought of that hand drives me mad and makes my lips quiver and burn. I close my eyes to avoid looking at it. But with its delicate fingers it seizes my eyelashes and raises the lids, causing countless visions of ivory and snow to pass before me. Ah, doubtless it is Satan's claw gloved in that satin skin. It is some mocking demon making sport of me. There is witchcraft in it. It is too monstrously impossible. That hand... I propose to go to Italy to see the pictures of the great masters, to study, compare, draw, become a painter, in short, in order to be able to reproduce it as it is, as I see it, as I feel it. It will perhaps serve the purpose of ridding me of this sort of obsession. I longed for beauty. I did not know what I asked for. It is like trying to look at the sun without eyelids. It is like trying to handle flames. I suffer horribly. To be unable to assimilate this perfection, to be unable to pass into it and to cause it to pass into me, to have no means of reproducing it and of making it feel. When I see anything beautiful, I want to touch it with my whole self, everywhere and at the same time. I want to sing of it and paint it, to carve it and write of it, to be loved by it as I love it. I want what cannot be and never can be. Your letter made me ill, very ill, forgive me for saying it. All the pure, tranquil happiness that you enjoy, the walks in the reddening woods, the long conversations, so affectionate and tender, that end with a chaste kiss on the forehead, the serene, isolated life, the days that pass so quickly that night seems to come before its time, make the constant internal agitation in which I live seem even more tempestuous. So you are to be married in 2 months. All the obstacles are removed, you are sure now of belonging to each other forever. Your present felicity is augmented by all the happiness in store for you. You are happy and you are certain of being happier soon. What a destiny is yours! Your beloved is beautiful, but what you have loved in her is not the mortal, palpable beauty, material beauty, but the invisible, immortal beauty, the beauty that does not grow old, the beauty of the soul. She is full of charm and innocence. She loves you as such souls know how to love. You never looked to see if the golden shade of her hair resembled the golden hair painted by Rubens or Giorgione, but it pleased you because it was her hair. I will wager, happy lover that you are, that you have no idea whether your mistress is of the Grecian or Asiatic type, English or Italian. Oh, Silvio, how rare are the hearts that are content with pure and simple love, and desire neither a hermitage in the forest, nor a garden on an island in Lago Maggiore. If I had the courage to tear myself away from here, I would go and pass a month with you. Perhaps I should become purified in the air that you breathe. Perhaps the shade of your avenues would bring a little coolness to my burning brow. But no, it is a paradise in which I must not set foot. Hardly ought I to be allowed to gaze from afar over the wall at the two fair angels who are walking there hand in hand, eyes fixed upon eyes. The devil can enter Eden only in the shape of a serpent, and, dear Adam, for all the happiness on earth, I would not be the serpent of your Eve. What frightful upheaval has taken place in my soul of late? Who has transformed my blood and changed it to venom? O monstrous thought that puttest forth thy pale green twigs and umbels of hemlock in the glacial shadow of my heart, what poisoned wind deposited there the seed from which thou didst spring? This, then, was what was in store for me. This is the end of all the roads that I so desperately attempted. O fate, how thou dost mock at me! All those upward flights of the eagle towards the sun, those pure flames aspiring to reach the sky, that divine melancholy, that profound, restrained passion, that worship of beauty, that refined and curious fancy, that unquenchable and ever-rising flood from the interior fountain, that ecstasy borne upon wings always spread, that reverie blooming brighter than the hawthorn in May, all the poesy of my youth, all those beautiful and rare gifts were destined to serve no other purpose and to place me beneath the lowest of mankind. I longed to love. I went about like a madman, calling and invoking love. I writhed in frenzy because of my feeling of helplessness. I set my blood on fire. I dragged my body about in the gutters of debauchery. I strained to my arid heart until I almost stifled her, a woman, young and beautiful, who loved me. I ran after the passion that avoided me. I prostituted myself, and I acted like a virgin who should venture into an evil place, hoping to find a lover among those whom depravity led thither, instead of waiting patiently in dignified, silent retirement until the angel whom God has set aside for me should appear in a radiant penumbra, a heavenly flower in her hand. All these years that I have wasted in puerile agitation, in running hither and thither, in seeking to force nature and time, I should have passed in silence and meditation, in trying to make myself worthy to be loved. That would have been wisely done, but I had scales over my eyes, and I marched straight to the precipice. I already have one foot suspended over the void, and I believe that I shall soon lift the other. It is useless for me to resist. I feel that I must roll to the bottom of this new abyss that has opened within me. Yes, it was thus that I imagined love. I feel now what I had dreamed. Yes, there are the delightful yet terrible sleepless nights when the roses were thistles and the thistles roses. There are the sweet misery and the miserable joy, the ineffable trouble that encompasses you in a golden cloud and makes objects waver before your eyes as drunkenness does, the ringing in the ears in which you always hear the last syllable of the loved one's name, the pallor, the flashes, the sudden shivering, the burning and freezing perspiration. All those are there. The poets do not lie. When I am about to enter the salon where we usually meet, my heart beats so violently that you can see it through my clothes, and I am obliged to hold it back with both hands for fear it will escape me. If I see my dream at the end of a path and in the park, the distance vanishes at once, and I have no idea what becomes of the road. It must be that the devil takes me, or that I have wings. Nothing can distract my thoughts. If I read, her image comes between the book and my eyes. I mount my horse, I gallop over the country, and it always seems to me that I feel its long hair mingling with mine in the wind, hear its hurried respiration, and feel its warm breath upon my cheek. The image possesses me and follows me everywhere, and I never see it more clearly than when it is not before my eyes. You pitied me for not being in love. Pity me now because I am in love, and above all because I love what I love. What a misfortune, what a crushing blow upon my already blasted life. What an insensate, guilty, hateful passion has taken possession of me. It is a shameful thing for which I shall never cease to blush. It is the most deplorable of all my aberrations. I cannot imagine it, I cannot understand it. Everything within me is in confusion and bewilderment. I have no idea who I am, nor who others are. I doubt whether I am a man or a woman. I have a horror of myself. I feel strange, inexplicable impulses, and there are moments when it seems to me that my reason is going, and when the idea of my existence abandons me altogether. For a long time I have been unable to believe in anything. I have listened to myself and watched myself closely. I have tried to disentangle the skin that has become entangled in my soul. At last, through all the veils in which it was enveloped, I have discovered the ghastly truth. Silvio, I love... Oh no, I can never tell you. I love a man. Καλό βράδυ.